Hello and welcome to the regular Tuesday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID. Tonight I have James with me. I don't know if other guests have turned up. A few have cried off. This is weather this time of year. But we carry on regardless. Tonight we'll discuss Ange. We're going to do a preview. And if people have got any questions in the chat, please get them in and we'll do our very best to answer the questions. So without further ado, I'll introduce James, a regular friend of the show. How are you, James?
Yeah, I'm fantastic. Had a bit of dinner. It is incredibly windy on the south coast at the moment. Happy to complain about Spurs and, have a good conversation. Thanks for having me on.
Right, we've got someone in the chat, Milton Nobrega. Hello, mate. Hope you're well. If you like the content, please subscribe to the channel, mate. Leave a comment. Give the videos a thumbs up. Right, I'll go down to the banners. We've got 13 watching, 16 watching. It's going up. I think they're watching us on XCOM, the old Twitter. Right, we'll start with this before we get to rumours and Spurs news. Preview Frankfurt away. We'll do a predicted lineup. You can join in. Right, we do one at a time. We're going to talk about whether they've played well or not this system and be patchy. So, I think we can say, James, that Vicario will start over Austin, yeah?
Yes, very much so. Austin played one game this season that I can remember, and that was against Elfsborg, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember him having to do very much in that game. But yeah, it's going to be Vicario, isn't it?
Big up, Milton. So, what do you think of? He's been injured at part-time this season, isn't he, Vicario? How do you think his form been? We're going to discuss the form of these players as well.
I would have said, if you asked me this question last week, I would have said he's come back from his injury much improved, but he had a bit of a couple of errors at the weekend, which aren't great, but he's been broadly one of our better players. I don't think he's been at fault for too much. But obviously players have bad days. And goalkeepers, especially if they have a bad day as a goalkeeper, it's very, very noticeable. Because one error from a goalkeeper, and it's a goal usually, whereas a midfielder can make an error and you forget it 20 minutes later.
Yeah, he was coming to me like he was coming for crosses and when we were playing Frankfurt and things like that, looking good. I was still questioning his distribution because he seemed to... I was saying to him, I was yelling from the ground because I'm a season to go. Not next year, I'm giving it up. But I was yelling... I'm yelling down. He's not going to be able to hear me. I'm up the top left east stand, right next to the south stand, up high. I'm yelling down, wait till everyone's set before you throw the ball out, right? Because there's nothing more annoying because then he'll throw the ball out to someone who's going to be closed down quickly. Wait till the players spread. I mean, his distribution, what do you think of it? I don't think it's been that great.
I don't think it's brilliant, but I mean, he's definitely a step up from like Lloris, right? In terms of how good he is on the ball. But I do question his distribution sometimes. But I think a big part of that is probably that he's been told by the manager to play short pretty much all the time. Whereas sometimes I think, well, you play it long here and we've got some runners and there's a lot of space, but we don't ever really seem to do that, which is frustrating. But I don't think that's really Vicario's fault. I think that's a system issue more than anything.
I thought he was nervous against Wolves as well. And if your goalkeeper's nervous, that doesn't send a good message through the rest of the team, does it? I mean, he fists the ball he should have caught before the first goal. That was catchable. I mean, I know Kinski was a bit hit and miss. He was dropping off a bit when Vicario come back and we welcomed him back. But he's like, he should have caught that ball, And then and he only throws the ball out to one of their players afterwards. And Strand just hooked it wide. I think he was surprised, caught in the headlights,
Yeah, I mean, Kinski I'll give less slack to for making errors because he's only 20, 21. So he's a very young player. And his first game for us was playing Liverpool. I mean, the pressure of that sort of environment is immense. And he did quite okay, I thought. If your goalkeeper's nervous, you as a centre-back don't want to make a mistake because a stray shot from 30 yards out might go in if your keeper makes an error. And that can't be good for your centre-backs, even if they're veteran centre-backs like Romero, World Cup winner. Hopefully he'll be fine. It happens. Had a bad game. Hopefully
Kinski looked more confident on the ball with his distribution, but then again, you wanted Vicario back because then Kinski lets in a soft goal against Villa away in the cup, and straight through him basically.
Yeah. It's hard to judge keepers sometimes because they can make a world-class save, then make an error, and you won't ever remember the world-class save. You'll just remember the error.
Yeah.
So
let's move on to. Well, we'll pair these two together, actually, you Doggy and Spence, because one of them will start, I should imagine, against Frankfurt. It's a question of which one. And pick your man, and then how do you think his form's been?
Got Spence. I think he's been probably our best defender all season. There is, some lacking in his technical game. I don't think he's the best at crossing, for example. But I'd say he's one of the few players alongside Bergvall who pretty much always put in a shift. Like every game they've played, I think they've given 100% this season. And it's kind of hard to find fault with a player who does that. I think he's been excellent, honestly. I would start him every game that matters, to be honest. He would be one of the first people I'd put in against Frankfurt.
Right. David Clark went at his last game, but the first goal, a Wolves player was holding on to the back of Vicario's shirt. Yeah, well, we can't make it sound like sour grapes from us after the game. We lost. I mean, and let's be fair, David. I mean, we gifted them the game. We shot ourselves in the foot. All goals were a gift. Rams there as well. So big up to the regulars in the chat. Right, back to the. My view on Spence, it's been good. He's very, he's like Romero is when Romero's on the touchline. He ain't going to just boot the ball in a touch. He's going to try and keep it, no matter how many he's surrounded by. He's brave enough, isn't he? He tries to work the ball or play it off of someone when he's down there. Well, I like him. I mean, he's got good skill for a fullback, very skillful. Good going forward, good cutting in and trying to glide, and he's brave enough to want to go past people. Our wingers should take note.
Yeah, he doesn't let himself be bullied either, which I really like. You can kick him and he'll just get up and keep going. So
if we're picking Spence, fair enough. But just on you, Doggy, I thought against Frankfurt that was probably his best game he's had this season. I mean, he did. I like the player. I know he's been poor this season. We're not going to deny it. We won't defend the indefensible. But he was forced into the side at the beginning of the season. He had no pre-season because he came back from injury, and he never really got going. I think it sort of half held him back. I don't think he's struggled to get at his best. And I only think now against Frankfurt, I thought, you're getting your mojo back, And I've got no worries about him in the future. New season, new beginning. Things are different.
He's just looked like a player at times this season who's, carrying a little ankle niggle or something. He's not looked 100% fitness-wise, which, again, no pre-season. You're trying to play as an inverted fullback half the time, bomb down the wing other times. It's a complicated, difficult role that takes time to adapt to. But I'm sure he'll be, if he can play as he did against Frankfurt, then he'll be fine for us going forward. But, he's had a difficult season.
Right, Milton's got a question for us. He follows it up here. Well, if you were Levy, I think he means, who would you place Ange with and why? Because he says, I meant Levy here. We'll do this. We can go back and forth, back to the team selection as well. I'll give you, actually, Milton, I'll give you a list of the 12 we've been listed with, right? Banners, where are you? Sorry. Right. These are 12 managers we've been linked with, right? So Darren Southgate, Silva, Frank, Terzic, who was at Dortmund and is Turkish, Areola, Inzaghi, Simeone in Italy, Xavi, Lopetegui, who's not done well, did well everywhere in Spain before he came to the UK. Glasner, because he's doing okay with Palace. Mata been sacked by Juve. He is rated. Ten Hag. I rated Ten Hag when he was with Ajax when they came to us and beat us 1-0, but we went there and had that fantastic 3-2 win. I loved that style of football the Dutch played. Ajax played. and Pochettino, who's still got a year to run in the World Cup. So back to his question, who would you bring in, or anyone else? Can you think of anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say the Ajax way of playing. They don't play that way at the moment. They're basically playing like Conte does, and they're winning the league. Side note. Southgate, no. Let me just run through them all. Southgate, please no. Great. He'd be a great manager of like a Barcelona or something because he's very good at media management. Don't think he's very good tactically. I think he's very cautious. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he would be decent. Silva, I like Silva. I'm just not sure if he could step up to a bigger job. Frank, I do quite like. Very pragmatic manager. I think we do quite well with Frank. Terzic, I was all for him until I spoke to Dortmund fans who think that he is not a very good manager. I think someone described him as Turkish Mourinho with no trophies. So there you are. Iriola. Again, I quite like what I'm seeing out of him, but it would be a gamble. But at the same time, he's doing it with Bournemouth, and obviously it's supposed you have more resources. Inzaghi, I don't think would come. Not a huge Inzaghi fan. Xavi, I think would be fantastic. Got a Barcelona style of football, stylistic fit, works with youth. He's a big name, so even if we do have big egos in the dressing room, you're going to listen to Xavi, aren't you? Like one of the greatest midfielders of all time. Lopetegui struggled in the Premier League, but he was at Wolves, who, ignoring the weekend, he did have recruitment issues. He didn't get the players he wanted. No, Lopetegui went to West Ham, didn't he? Yeah. That's not.
He was
really
manager of Spain and all, wasn't he?
Yeah. It's difficult to judge with certain clubs. I think it's a bit like managing Man U. I don't write you off because you did badly at Man U. That's a whole behemoth. Glasner, really like the look at Glasner. Palace look like a good side. Again, it's kind of
on the Europa League with Frankfurt, didn't he?
Yeah, looks like an exceptional manager. Motta, I don't know tons about. Ten Hag, just no, please no. And then Pochettino, I think we're going to be linked with Pochettino until he comes back at some point. But again, managing America in the World Cup, a bit of a weird job to take. But, I think there would be a feel-good factor around the club if Pochettino came back. How well we would do substantively, I'm not entirely sure. But you'd like to think he's grown as a manager since he left Spurs 5 years ago. He's won trophies at PSG. I thought he did okay with Chelsea last season, all things considered. I don't know. And it's a different team. It's a much younger team, which he is very well known for doing. So, yeah. But I take probably like 7 of those.
I think according to the media, it's sort of it's more a Silva, Areola, Glasner race now because Glasner's there because he's like Palace are in a semi-final of the cup now. I'm like a bit wary of this. Managers come good and like suddenly they're the best thing since sliced bread. I'm like you with Xavi. If I had to pick one of these, if I couldn't have Poch, I would be picking Xavi. I would go for Ten Hag, but he's not exactly Mr. Personality, is he? I mean, like,
no,
he comes across as a pretty dull person, but if he could,
we interviewed him before we got Conte for the Spurs job, and Levy didn't like him for whatever reason, and then went and got Conte. When he went and got Nuno, then he went and got Conte. So if Nuno was preferable to Ten Hag, I mean that's a red flag.
I mean, there's even been media outlets I've mentioned today or something like that Ange should go back to Celtic and we could get Brendan Rodgers. The problem with Rodgers was he turned us down before, and you don't know how Levy reacts to people that have turned us down before. I don't think he's going to go for it. I think Rodgers would like to come back to the Premier League, but he'd want to be at a good club, one of the top 6 clubs, which we are, but we're underperforming. So Xavi for me, he played, I think it is 767 games for Barcelona.
Yeah.
He knows he really knows his form.
Yeah, I think he's got that good mixture of.
He brought Lamar inside as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean he plays youth, but he's also a big enough name by virtue of his footballing career that any big ego we have in the club are going to respect him, right?
Yeah,
because that was Nuno's big issue when he came in. Good manager tactically in a lot of ways, but some of the players just thought, "Who's this bald Portuguese fella?" We got rid of Mourinho for him, and they just didn't respect him. But you're going to respect Xavi, aren't you? So, yeah, it'd be Xavi for me, then probably Frank, then Glasner, then Pochettino would be my
the
order.
fact that it's such a long list shows that there isn't like standout candidates, really. I mean, some of these here, I'd rather have Bielsa to some of these here, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, and also, like, stylistically, they're all very different. They're all different kinds of managers. I mean, Southgate's success came managing England, playing fairly defensive football. Xavi managed Barcelona, playing quite Barcelona-y football, completely different kind of manager. It just seems to be who's not in work at the moment and who's doing well in the Prem for a mid-table side. That seems to be who we're linked with.
David said, don't let Berg on first mistake. He was always on the ball too long at 20. He's been coached. Yeah. Yeah, all right, he made a mistake. But he's been good for us, and he's a kid, so he's going to make mistakes.
He's younger than me.
Yeah.
So.
Villa 3-2 up and PSG. Is that overall, or is that today's game 3-2?
Let me check. They are 2-0 up. Oh, no, 3-2. So aggregate is 4-5. Wow.
Right. So the goal in it at the moment then, yeah?
Yeah. And Borussia Dortmund are 2-1 up against Barcelona, but 5-2 down in aggregate.
All right. Graham's guy votes me, isn't it? They couldn't afford me. Right.
I'd go for
James is my number 2, right? Only if James comes as my number 2. And we get keys to the wine cellar. Right, so we might not win nothing, but we'll never be miserable. Right. Lopetegui was also at FC Porto. Yeah. Yeah, I think he'll rebuild his managerial career because there aren't that many managers out there. And in the merry-go-round, they all seem to find a job. Right, we go back to the team selection. Get more questions in the chat, though, if you've got any. Right, let's go to, here we were on the team. Yeah, Spence, you doggy. Yeah, Porro. You think he starts on the right instead of Gray?
Yeah, almost certainly. I mean, I like Gray, but Ange obviously doesn't seem to want to give him minutes. Understandable in the Europa League, considering the importance of these games, especially the Frankfurt match. Porro is the definition of he's brilliant at one set of things. He's very good going forward, bombs down the wing, can cross quite well, cannot defend. He is not a fullback. He's a wing back, right? Or even a winger. And I mean, what game was it? The Frankfurt game was a good example of that for me. He makes an error, which leads to a goal, and then he scores a goal, right? That's the perfect encapsulation of Porro. He might cost you a goal, but he will score you a goal or set up a goal. So, yeah.
Yeah, my question was upwards to the panel I had on that. Why wasn't one of our attackers in that position?
He seems to have better attacker positioning than like half our front line.
Who play to? I think the problem with their front line is the wingers do have the touch line. They should be narrow. So if they're centre forward, whoever that may be, out of their choices, we say the centre of the outside of the penalty area, the white line, then the two wingers should be on the close space, which is the two edges of the penalty area. Which is like the angle of the penalty area is where that is. One should be on one should be other. If you narrow the space, which is what you try and do when your wingers out wide anyway, to get in the penalty area. So I don't get it. No. Still, what do I know? Right, so Porro. So Gray doesn't start this game as far as I think. Do you think he doesn't start, does he?
I don't think so. I mean, it's too important to play Gray, and I think when Porro's available.
We're winning. 10 minutes to go. 15, 20 minutes, he might go on to shore things up because he can't defend.
Yeah, he doesn't let himself get bullied too much, which I will give him for such a young guy. I think he'll be very important in the future, just not so much on Thursday.
Davies, he doesn't start either, does he?
No, yeah, I think in a lot of ways our first 11's quite settled, especially at the back. Davies, again, he's the rotation player, and I mean, I can't see him playing other than if we bring him on to defend a lead, but we don't really seem to sit back and defend leads this season, so I don't know how likely that is.
VDV's performances since he's been back?
Yeah, I think it's very important for us, especially when we play a high line. I think it's difficult when you play this quite gung-ho way, because I think defenders often get put in positions where they have to make difficult choices, and Van de Ven is typically that guy, I feel. He didn't start at the weekend, did he? Which makes me think he's definitely going to start against Frankfurt. And yeah, I think, he's our best left-sided centre-back. I think it's just difficult to judge players this season because we've been poor as a sort of core collective.
There were rumours today, and one report I read, which didn't put up, that his agent's pushing to get him a move to Real Madrid. But you don't even know who Real Madrid are looking for this season, for next season anyway. Besides that, he's on a long contract. And we're going to get these links with our better players because if we don't have European football next season, there might be one or two of them might want to go. The younger ones might want to stay and fight it out for another season at least, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean...
Romero, mistake against Wolves, wasn't it? Well, he's still our best defender. I think he's our best defender, but others can argue with me, and that's fair enough.
I think he can be our best defender. I think part of the issue is I think a lot of the time Romero is the kind of person and player who feels like he has to do something, right? And I think because of that, sometimes he makes the wrong choice. And solely just by virtue of him feeling like, as a leadership figure, he needs to step up and do something on the pitch, he can sometimes make the wrong choice. Sometimes he goes in a bit brashly on a challenge. Sometimes he should sit back a little bit more. But, when it works out, he looks like the best centre-back in the world. So it's kind of difficult to judge him as well.
But Suleiman's got no chance of starting this game.
I think I've got more chance of starting than Basuma does, unless half our midfield gets food poisoning. I cannot see any world in which Basuma starts against Frankfurt.
They'll probably be on the bench because if those of you are not familiar with the Europa League, it's not like the Premier League where we're only allowed 9 subs. We're allowed 12, and there's only 23 players here. So every player that's not picked for the squad will be on the bench more than likely. Unless they're left out because they've got a knock or something. So Sarr for me starts on the bench. Same for you?
So, yeah, probably. I think it'll be Bentancur who starts as the 6. Yeah.
So we move on to Rodrigo. Bit mixed since he's come back from his ACL, but he's come back better from an ACL injury than I've seen others because it's not like you've got to be a Michael Owen and lose a yard of pace. He's not slow, Bentancur, and he's come back, and he was good away at Brentford, and his performances have been a bit mixed, but I can see why they want to give him a year's contract because that would be a lot of it on last year's form as well.
Yeah, he's been inconsistent this season, I feel, but that's pretty common when coming back from a major injury. And he's also had a small few niggles. He hasn't really got going into a rhythm, so it kind of makes sense. But you can obviously see the player he is still in there. He's just maybe not at 100% of his, pre-ACL form. He's at like 70, 80%. But obviously our best 6, all things considered, even if I don't think he really is a 6, but he's the best in that role, I think, from what we have.
Right. Okay, Bentancur. Bergvall, I mean, he's looked good this season. He's sort of grown into a role, hasn't he? I mean, he's got he's a multi-purpose player, really, but he's grown into be a very good midfielder. Of course, where does he end up? I think he ends up as an 8 or just a cam.
Yeah,
it's as a 6 personally. I mean, I don't hold him midfielder really, but
I mean, he has the passing ability to be a 6. I mean, he'd have to toughen up a bit, but then again, Jorginho was a 6 under Maurizio Sarri, so he could almost play that sort of role. Yeah, when we signed him, it was said, we're not signing any more midfielders because we don't want to block Bergvall's development. And obviously that got laughed at a little bit. Yeah. Turned out to be completely correct. I like him. He's still got that little bit of fight in him. And he's really good technically. He does make errors, but again, he's very young. I mean, he's only 19. He's 3 years younger than me. And I still feel like I'm 15. So the occasional error from overconfidence, I think, is perfectly reasonable.
As a holding midfielder, though, he's got 8 bookings, 4 in the league. He does like a challenge. I'll give him his due. I like to see that. I like to see a bit of grit in that midfield.
Yeah, it means he's passionate. It means he's up for a bit of a fight, and that's very important in that type of player, because often young players who are very good technically can often maybe shy away from that a little bit, and it means they can be a bit of a passenger defensively, which he isn't, thankfully. He can chip in defensively as well as being a creative asset, which I think is exceptional.
Yeah, he looks like he's really grown into a player. Maddison, people love and hate him. I'm going to bring the stats up for all these players after we do the team.
Maddison is just
good numbers this season.
Yeah, it feels like he'll have a couple mediocre games, and then he'll have a game where he, wins it for us. He's just one of those people, I think, who, 1 in 5 games, he's going to play, better than anyone else on the pitch, and he's going to get you the result. Technically, probably our best player, other than maybe Son. Good free kick taker, great vision. I do just sometimes wonder if he gets in his own head a little bit.
Yeah.
And overthinks things. Whereas if, when he doesn't have too much time to think about stuff, he typically plays a better ball than when he has a lot of time to sit and think about it. But
yeah, I've critiqued him, but I wouldn't want him to leave this club. I mean, he's a very highly, to me, he's a highly valued squad member. You have to keep him because we have got no one else of his ilk in the squad. We've got different types of player that can be creative, but not like him.
Yeah, and it's such a difficult role to replace, right? I mean, how many players have that level of creativity in the Premier League at the moment? I mean, you're talking like De Bruyne, maybe Ødegaard. There aren't that many players who can do what Maddison does. I mean, the last guy we had who could do that was Eriksen, right?
And Liverpool had Bobby Firmino, didn't they?
Yeah, there just aren't that many players who fill that sort of role.
Now we move on to Kulusevski. And I thought big clue that he came on. I remember Angie is very coy with some of this press conference. Oh, Dan saying Kulu, they're a week or two away, and the word week stuck in my mind, right? Because I remember when we played Chelsea at home and no one expected VDV and Romero at the start. All right, it didn't work out the way we wanted it to. We lost 5-2. Not being 2-0 up. But same with him. And I said to people before the Wolves game, wouldn't surprise me if Kulu comes on, and that'll be a sign that he starts against Frankfurt on Thursday. Your take? Kulu's numbers are very good this season.
Yeah, he's definitely one of our best players. I think he's probably one of the only players in our squad who could truly hit a level of being world class, other than maybe like Bergvall. If he's fit enough to start, absolutely start him. He played 20 minutes against Wolves. That would indicate at the very least he can play 45 minutes of football, 60 minutes of football. So maybe he doesn't start, but maybe he comes on for the second half, or maybe he does start. But yeah, absolutely, he's going to be very crucial for us. Can play wide, can play centrally, creative, good at holding the ball up, good physical asset, and he can score. So I think he's definitely one of our better players.
I think he plays because if he is a little bit tired or knackered, you can whip him off at half time or at the hour, but you start him because if you bring him on with half hour to go, he might have been out to last longer. You won't know, so you might as well play him. He's not the sort of player that's going to run out of gas anyway or want to come off. And if you're worried about extra effort in the middle, well, then you start him on the right wing.
Yeah, and I think
because then you can play Bentancur, Bergvall, and Maddison. And
I think it's
just see the same midfield three playing games.
Yeah, I think I'd do the same thing with like Son, for example. I'd say to him before the game, look, just give it all you have. And if you're knackered after, at half time or after 60 minutes, I'll pull you off and I'll send, Brennan on or Tell or whoever on. But just give all you got for 60 minutes. If you can do that, I'll be perfectly happy. If you feel like you've got more in you, go on. But you can come off after 60 if you're knackered. Just give it all you got for. Think of it as you're only playing for one half. Give everything that half.
So we're going Son, Solanke, Kulu at front.
Yeah, as long as Kulu's fit enough, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. If he doesn't start, it's then training and all that. There's an issue on there. Right. So we've got our starting lineup, which is Vicario in goal. We're starting Spence on the left, although I think Porro will probably get the nod. VDV, Romero, Porro, I think will start. I mean, if you want to be a bit defensive, but we got to go. We got to win this game.
Yeah.
Then I can see Spence starting on the bench. He might start though. We know it's going to be Bentancur, Madison, and Bergwijn midfield with Solanke up front. Right. Let's talk about. We'll talk about transfers and the player stats. I'll go back to some banners. Right. Let's talk. We'll talk about players' form here. Right. This might surprise a few people. We are the third highest scorers in the Premier League. For those of you listening, we've got 44 of you viewing us, which is very good for a Tuesday at this time, especially, and we won't change our shows when we compete with European football and things like that. We're still going to go out every Tuesday, Friday and Sunday at the times that we say. Let's look at some of their front three. I mean, for a poor season, Son's got 11 goals and 11 assists. We're doing them individually, but Son hasn't looked great on the eye test this season, has he?
No, he's looked isolated often, and he's looked quite leggy, and at times like he's lacking confidence in himself, which is probably the most important thing for a frontline player to have, just to have confidence. And he's looked short of that all season. But then, you know, he's got 22 goal contributions, which is pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that, I'll add a little banner before I come back to this, because Son has made 451 appearances for the club. It's the 7th highest in Spurs history. Ditchburn was a goalkeeper, made 452. He's going to pass him. Hoddle, I've got him down as central midfielder, but 490. He'd have to play next season to beat that. Knowles, left back, 506. Jennings, goalkeeper, 590. Best goalkeeper I've ever seen in my life. Mabbott might surprise people. Centre back, centre midfield, 611, and then Perriman. No one's going to catch him. Centre back, centre midfield, Cam, 854 appearances, right? And Perriman won 6 trophies, right? In 14 years, he won 6 trophies because he won a League Cup in 71, a UEFA Cup in 72, a League Cup in 73, and then he won an FA Cup in 81, an FA Cup in 82, and another Europa Cup in 84. You won 6 trophies. That's without any junior honours and stuff that he got with England and all that.
So, funny story. I've met Gary Mabbott, and I had no clue who he was because I was like 16, and me and my dad have had a photo taken with Hugo Lloris, and then Gary Mabbott come on over, and you know we've had a photo. He's very nice, and my dad was like, "Do you have any idea who he was?" I was like, "Nope, no clue." Only realised afterwards who he was, but he was very nice.
Yeah, Mabs is nice. All right, we'll lose that banner. Back to here. Solanke. Of late, fans have been getting on, oh, he ain't scoring goals. No, he's got 11 goals and 8 assists in all comps. I don't think that's bad for someone who's having his first season, but I get the critique, and I'm with the critique of others like David Harris and all that out there, Aaron Shots, but others like him that say, well, you know, if it is 65 million for a striker, you'd want someone who's got a bit more than work rate to his game. I mean, when you look at all the strikers we've had in the past in this club, excluding Kane and Sonny, but we've had some first-class strikers.
Yeah, I mean, going back
in that mold, yeah.
No, I mean, you know, we've struggled signing strikers the past, 10 years or so? Because, I mean, we had Kane, obviously, but who else?
We had Kane and Son, we didn't need them.
Yeah, I mean, Vincent Janssen? Remember him? Before
NZ
that, it was
and Kudu.
Yeah.
In fact, I think we should never sign anyone who's got the letter N at the beginning of their surname, because we had Nkudu, NG, Ndombele.
I mean, who else? Like Soldado? That was an
Norton as well.
Yeah, Norton.
Right, that's 4 with any no more. Leave if you're listening. No more players with the letter N at the beginning of their surnames, right? Because they're like a curse to us, right?
Yeah,
Slanky, go on.
Yeah, I mean, we've had difficulty signing strikers just over the past 10 years. Like Soldado, Janssen, both dreadful players. Soldado wasn't a bad player, just didn't work out for us. Janssen went to go play in the second tier of Mexico 2 years after leaving us, and that tells you the level he was at. I think the thing with Solanke is he works really hard. And I mean, Firmino for Liverpool, he was basically their striker. He never scored that many goals. Often I think Solanke's isolated, But I mean, Son in his first season only had like 7 goals, 8 goals, and
and he wanted to leave.
Yeah,
until Poch tweaked the system, and what happened was Delhi got pushed more out to the left to more cater for Son.
Yeah, so it's difficult. He's definitely very good at lots of the small things, like holding the ball up and, just his ability to sort of knock it down. And his link-up play is excellent, I think. Should he be scoring more goals? Yes. But at the same time, I don't think the system is set up for a striker to score 30, 40 goals a season. I think it's more set up for the wingers to be the primary goal scorers in a lot of ways. But, yeah.
Just sent Jacob's asked for the link. I just sent him the link.
Way.
So maybe Jacob will come on if he stayed with us this long. I don't know if Jacob's there. If you're watching us, Jacob,
feel free to come on.
Yeah. Just messaging him.
No worries.
So come on. Right, feel free to come on. I'll come out of here. It's only because I just check now and again to see anything happening in WhatsApp. Yeah, so Slanky for me. Look, if we're going to win, it sounds ridiculous to even talk about winning a Premier League, but if we have ambitions to win a Premier League, we're looking at, since the Premier League was inaugurated in 1992, it took an average of 86 goals to win it. But Man City come along and broke that benchmark, and they've won 7 out of the last 10 or 11 now, right? And they scored 100 goals in 2 or 3 of their wins. And Arsenal scored 100 goals and didn't win it. So if your aim is to score 100 goals, which should win it, you win it for you most seasons, right? Then I think we scored 86 and didn't win it. Where are we getting 100 goals from? I mean,
so Liverpool are going to win the league this year, and it isn't a striker who's their top goal scorer. It's Salah, who's a wide player.
Yeah.
Going back further, I'm trying to see, you've had Haaland and Aguero. Going back further to that, you had Conte's Chelsea had Diego Costa. It is kind of difficult. Where are the goals going to come from? I do think Solanke, if the system's tweaked slightly, could sort of score 20 goals a season. We've seen Son win the Golden Boot in seasons. He has that capability in him if he can, sort of get his confidence back. And then you've got players like Kulu, Maddison, Johnson, who are probably going to contribute 40 goals between them, maybe 50. So really, you're looking for sort of 25 goals from Son and Solanke each, that sort of general area. So it's not a huge step up from them, but it is, a step up of sorts. And I think Solanke will probably do better next season because he's had this time to sort of settle. But I don't know. But I mean, we
might have more help next season.
Yeah, that's definitely true. The issue is his only competition for the striker position, sorry, is Richarlison, who good player, but he's more fragile than a.
He'll be going. He'll be going.
So we're going to bring in another attacking option anyway.
And it's a myth with crosses into the box because Solanke's only scored 6 headers in 160 odd games in the Premier League, right? So, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't put crosses into the box because you can cause chaos and get a goal from a mistake, So,
I mean, look how many goals Arsenal score from set pieces, right?
Yeah. Well, this is why coaches spend so much time on corners and that now doing it because they know it's just. Teams are so well organised defensively now, it's hard to score goals. And Man City, even in their prime, they didn't go and spank everyone 5-0. Johnson, now he's a player I didn't want at the club. I've warmed to him. Last season, he got 5 goals. This season, he's got 16 in all competitions. I think he's got 10 league goals. I think he's the highest Premier League goal scorer we've got. And he's got 3 assists. I mean, not bad for a tap-in merchant.
If when we signed him, I came to you know, Spurs fans and said in the second season, towards the end, he's going to have nearly 20 goal contributions and he's going to be our top goal scorer in the league, you'd be thinking, he's kicked on well, then surely he's quite liked. No, everyone thinks he's terrible.
Well, no, on the eye test, some good finishes from him, some quality finishes, actually, not tap-ins. And you've got to be in the right place to put the ball in the net anyway, which takes instinct and all that. But on the eye test, work rate-wise, he's shown a bit more tracking back in the last 2 games, funnily enough. More against Frank and even against Wolves when everyone was piss poor. Right? But to me, you wouldn't say if you had a top quality squad, he's got a starter, though, would you? He's a squad player at the moment. He's got to do more.
Yeah, almost certainly. I mean, I remember reading somewhere there was a leak from the Welsh national team that Craig Bellamy told Brennan that he has to work harder off the ball, which, if that's true and he started working harder, that's very funny. Yeah, he seems to be, he's a lot like an old school poacher in a lot of ways. He will score you a goal. He's an exceptional finisher, but he won't do much else for you. And I think he can be a passenger at times, but then he's a passenger for 90 minutes, but then he scores you 2 goals. So
yeah,
one of those sort of tricky in-between players. I'm just going to go and shut my window.
Right, okay. All right. Right, so now we move on to Kulu. David Clark, you got something good to say about him? Kulu, to me, has been our best player this season. Him and Maddison, actually. They've been very good. Yeah, Kulu, for me, last season, he virtually knew that his performances weren't as good as he could perform, like when he first came in.
Yeah.
The January transfer window and hit the ground running and like everybody raving about him. Last season, he fell off a cliff, really. And this season, he's really he's matured and shown even more. 10 goals and 10 assists, and all the work rate in the world as well to go with it with Solanke. That's why I think he definitely starts against Eintracht Frankfurt, because he performs multiple tasks for us.
For me, he's a better version of Bernardo Silva and what he does for Man City.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got all the technical ability and all the vision and all the passing ability, but he's also a lot better physically, and he's much stronger and he's better defensively. He's that type of player. I don't think he's great as a touchline winger. I think that's not his game. He wants to be narrow, much like Son. And I think he's very exceptional as an 8 when paired with another 8. I don't think he's good enough as a lone 8, creativity-wise, but I think with another creative 8, he's brilliant.
Right. So we have seen, when he has played in the midfield with Maddison, we've seen Maddison adopt a more central midfield role because he likes to drift centrally or left. Don't like to see Maddison coming back to pick the ball up, because that means things can't working out of the front for us anyway, you know. And Decky's then been more used as the battering ram number 10 at the time in front of him, which gives Maddison space, because Decky will occupy players because they know he's a handful. It might take more than one of you to stop him. And he'll either lose the ball, Decky, at times, or he'll claw it out of impossible situations just with strength, like, you know. So I think
he's a lot like Spence in that regard. He'll be quite surrounded by 3 or 4 defenders, and he'll still somehow not give the ball away. He's just really good at keeping the ball, which you do need. Whereas some of our other players will give the ball away a little bit meekly. But, you know.
Okay, we move on to Maddison. 11 goals and 11 assists. He's having a very good season for us. These are excellent numbers for a midfielder. 11 goals, and 11 assists as well. I mean, his stats are better than Kulu's in that respect. But you know, both players. See, when people would criticise one over the other, I go, well, hang about it. Both players are great in their own way. They're totally different types of players anyway. You know, Kulu will dig you out of a hole. Maddison won't. Maddison might win you a game with a last-minute free kick. Kulu probably wouldn't. You know, so they're both, to me, they're both first-choice squad players. First 11 players, to me, they both are, really. You have to find a way to play both of these in your team.
I think he's perhaps regressed a little bit from last season in certain areas, but at the same time, I think he's become a lot more settled, just generally, in his general play. But I think he's maybe lost a little bit of fight that he had at the beginning of last season, which is unfortunate.
Right. Don't know if Jacob's coming or not. Maybe I didn't see his message in time and he's gone and done something else, probably. Yeah. Scarlett, 1 goal, 1 assist. I watched Scarlett as a 17-year-old. Even for the reserves then, before all the changes at the academy for the better. And he stood out. One player stood out amongst 22 players. It was him. I thought, oh, this kid's good, but he was 17. All right. He's come in. He got that goal against Elfsborg. Was it Elfsborg? The header.
Elfsborg.
Yeah,
it was against Elfsborg.
Yeah. Took good anticipation to run onto and get it. Also scored a goal against Shakhtar Donetsk when Kane scored 4 in his last game and he got the last one, the turn swivel in the box. He got that. He got about 4 goals for Oxford. When he was at Ipswich last year, they were getting promoted, so he didn't get no game time. I think this kid's got a future. It might not be at Spurs, and it might be. You always hope you're going to get a homegrown come through. We don't know what's going to happen with Lancashire. We don't know what's happening with Eligio Velez. They'll probably get another loan.
Funnily enough, I've seen Scarlett playing more for Portsmouth than I have for Spurs. But he wasn't great at Portsmouth in League One. But he seems, he did well against Elfsborg. I mean, how high Elfsborg are level-wise is debatable. But there's definitely a lot of talent. He just hasn't really seemed to have a chance.
Yeah.
And I will say, Kane went on loan quite a few times. Never scored a ton of goals when he went on loan to Leicester in the Championship, went on loan to League One. Never did exceptionally anywhere. Comes back to Spurs, and within a year, he's scoring 25 goals. So sometimes development can be a lot more rapid than we think.
Porro, 2 goals, 7 assists. We know about Porro, fantastically, technically superb footballer, defensively. I mean, he was crap defensively in the first Company's Club when we played away at Leicester and Newcastle. We got hammered in both those games away. He adjusted his game. He kept getting beaten or standing. He wasn't standing goal side, but he was using his pace to get out of trouble. But then balls over the top of him from the right-hand side from a corner. He was never looking, never simply had the concentration. But he hasn't improved, but not enough, in my opinion, defensively. I do wonder if you evaluated all his stats at the end of the season, do we actually get a net gain out of Porro? I mean, I know he scores these goals and fans get all sexy and emo about him. Oh, yeah, he's lovely and all that. But is he a net gain for us? That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I just find Porro an enigma wrapped in a puzzle, personally. I
mean, he definitely can be a net gain for us. I think it's just about utilising him correctly. I think, if we played a free at the back with wing backs, absolutely. But in this current system, a little bit debatable. Because he is a defensive liability. But great going forward.
Berg goal, 1 goal, 3 assists. That goal's got to be in Europe because he hasn't got a league goal yet. He's been unlucky. He'll get one.
No, Bergvall scored against Liverpool in the League Cup.
Yeah. Okay. 1 goal, 3 assists. Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, he's definitely going to be good for us in the years to come. It's just hanging on to these players now. If you're not in Europe. If we're not in Europe next season, I fear for the youth players not getting game time because we ain't got them 8 games to play, and it only leaves like the League Cup and the FA Cup. If we get low-tier opposition to play against, they might get a game. But he's an exciting talent, Bergvall. He's definitely skillful. Got a great long diagonal crossfield pass ball. So he's got vision. He's got aggression. He can look after himself,
Yeah, he's an exceptional player. I mean,
yeah, he made a mistake the other day, and sometimes he does lose the ball a bit easily. So
he does make errors, but again, he is a very young player, and the talent is incredibly obvious. I mean, there are blind people who can give you a good eye test on Bergvall, right?
Yeah.
He's going to go a long way. He's very young. And I think all this match time at a high level, keep in mind this is his first season playing at a level higher than the Swedish division, which isn't the greatest quality of football, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So, the fact he's been able to make that jump so quickly and perform well is very impressive. Such a young player.
Right.
And in a few seasons, I think he'll probably be one of the better midfielders in the Premier League. Hopefully that doesn't age badly.
Then we go on to Spence. We've all eulogised about Spence. He could have ended up Girona for £8.5 million. Looks like we've got a 50, 60 million pound player on our hands now. I mean, he just looks quality, doesn't he? I mean, like, he just looks good. He's good defensively. He's good going forward. He's got pace to get out of trouble. He's good on the ball. He's good inverting. I mean, like, he's just been good. And confident playing, you know what I mean? So
he's one of those players who gets you excited, like when he's on the ball and he's going forward, you think, oh, here we go, something's going to happen here. He gets you that little bit of excitement, a little bit of hope, and that's
now we move on to a player that doesn't excite me at all. Basuma, 2 goals. Right, I just want this player out of this club. The sooner the better. I mean, I'm just done with him. I mean, he couldn't even do. I mean, he's had enough chances, and he's one of those players that don't do it. When I spoke to a couple of Leicester fans, when Maddison was playing with Tielemans in Leicester and they got relegated, those 2 players wouldn't dig you out of the hole. You all remember Tielemans' mistake when Bergvall scored the winning goal. We got 2 goals in the last fucking 5 minutes in the game, right? And that you got to realise with Maddison, he can put a tackle in now and again, but he's not a player that's going to dig you out of the hole. But it was like Ndidi or something like, I think that sort of was the only glue there then to hold them together. But Biss, he can't dig you out of the hole. He looks good when it's a flat track bully and your team's cruising. He looks good, like the first games last season when you've seen him under pressure and all that. And he was beating the press, but he's given so many balls away. He's passed square balls across the box, which have been intercepted. He hangs on the ball too long. Many drifts. There's no shape. What's he doing? Drifting far right and far left to the side of the pitch, leaving big gaps in the midfield when we lose the ball. And I just think, man, he's technically very good footballer. And I think someone else will get a better tune out of him in a more packed midfield. If you went to a Palace who are rumoured to be interested in, or a Brighton or Brentford or a Fulham, Everton even, I think he'd probably do better.
He's definitely a player you need to fit a midfield around rather than just being able to slot him into whatever system you have. He's one of those players when things are going well, he looks great, but as soon as the going gets a bit tough, he runs away and hides under a table.
Yeah, I mean, while we're trying to sort out our midfield, which has been pants this season, and getting even a blend of 2 regulars out of 3 in midfield or 2 out of 4, we ain't got time to sort of cater for him. And he's a more experienced midfielder, so he should be doing better. Because we really don't know where Bentancur's going to end up. We see Sarr coming in as a holding midfielder, plus probably another holding type midfielder in the summer as well. He can go as far as I'm concerned. Sarr, now he either gets praised or slammed by fans. 6 goals and 2 assists might surprise some people. So I like this player. I think there's a lot more to come from him. But on times, he's one of those that works hard. He's one of these workhorses that you notice Solanke as a workhorse and you notice Kulu as a workhorse, but fans don't seem to notice Sarr as a workhorse. So.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit underrated.
He's not sexy yet. He scored some nice goals.
No, yeah, I mean Bergvall's much better looking than him, but yeah, 6 goals. He does seem to pop up with a goal every so often, doesn't he?
Against Man City, and all that. I mean, and he hits them from the edge of the box as well.
Torre-esque. Yeah, I think he's one of those players
that the keeper for that wonder goal as well.
I think there were perhaps heightened expectations of him when he first came. And then, which we do with young players, and when they don't immediately hit those ridiculous expectations, oh, he's mediocre, he's terrible. No, actually, he's quite a good player. I think part of the issue he has at Spurs is he gets shunted around position-wise quite a lot. 1 week, he needs to be an 8. Next week, he needs to be a 6. And I think, especially with a young player who hasn't played tons of Premier League football, that can be quite difficult to adapt to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's one of those players that he just sort of needs to settle in a position, in a sort of role, and play there for a prolonged period, and that's when we'll see the best out of him.
Yeah, and he's young. And if he wants to be one of the first names in the midfield pick, he's got to show more. He's got to show a bit more. I mean, I don't fault him. He's very thorough with his pass. He sort of looks down, puts his left foot in front of his right, and he's very deliberate with his pass. And if you notice it, he knows he's going to make that pass.
He pings it. He doesn't pass it gently. He follows through quite a lot. So typically there's a lot of power in his passing, which is good because when you're trying to break a team down, you need to pass the ball quickly. Whereas too often we pass it really nice and gently, like we're having a kickabout with our grandmother. It's like, no, come on, up the tempo, lads.
Now we move on to Mikey Moore. I want to see him being, as a league season's shot, I want to see him giving game time towards the end of the season now. I mean, I can't eulogise enough about this player. I watched every under-21 game season on Spurs play last year. Watched this kid play. And even out of all the fantastic talent we've got, our under-16s, 17s won the cup the other day on Friday. I watched that game live as well. We've never had such a crop of so many talented players at this football club through different age levels at the academy. And more to me, I've got to say it, in all my years of following Spurs, before Hoddle come through, who's the best player that's ever graced England's fields, I think. Moore's the best talent I've ever seen. I just think he's got it all. If he had lightning pace, that would be an addition, but he doesn't need it. He can drop his shoulder and slip past on the left, on the right. His balance is good. If he's got space, he'll run into it, use his score with his left and his right foot. I mean, and he plays on both wings, but he could be a ball carrying. I reckon he could carry the ball in midfield as well, because the way he comes forward with it. And I think most wingers would love to play in midfield because players want to be where the action is. Everyone wants to be the central midfielder because you get much more of the ball. I don't know how much you've seen of Moore, but I just think he's a generational talent.
I've seen enough to think the fact that he's not had more minutes this season is probably a sacking offence on its own fringe, personally, from what I've seen of him. I have friends. I have a friend who's an Arsenal fan who thinks he's going to start for England in a few years, which is very random. But if he rates it,
he scored at every level for the England youth team, at different level, all age levels as well. And
and I mean, we have 6 league games left, and there's not a horrific, there's not an unlikely possibility we only win like 1 or 2 of them. Give him a run. Give him a run of games. I mean, I
only need a point, and if Ipswich lose a game, we're safe.
And I mean, the thing is, right? If we go past Frankfurt, can't speak. Then it's a little bit different because you've got to keep minutes in people's legs, for European games. But why can't Moore start a few of them? Let Son have a day off. Let him go to a spa or whatever, so he can be fully fit for Europe.
And. He's got 2 goals. He got that goal against Elfsborg, didn't he? When Jay scored and Scarlett scored. But what was I going to say? He was rumoured to have a slight knock recently. That was just a rumour coming out. But he had that virus. Obviously,
and he was out for a month, wasn't he?
Your medical records are private, aren't they? They are private. Maybe wonder if he had COVID or a touch of long COVID or whatever it was, something like that. I mean, I don't know. And then he didn't play again. But during the period he's not been playing, the pressure under Ange has increased exponentially. So I can see why you might not want to take a risk on a player. All the same, what I've seen, I've no qualms of playing him in any game myself, personally. But
I mean, all the same as well, when you look at the trend of this season, guys like Spence, young player, Archie Gray, exceptionally young player, Bergvall, young player, all the young players who have been given a chance through necessity have taken it and performed as well as, if not better, than some of our more established senior players. And Mikey's young and he's come through the academy. He's going to give 110%. And at the end of the day, sometimes a loss is tolerable if you see the team gave absolutely everything. I can accept us losing if, it's not our team's fault, as it were. We were just playing someone better than us. Often this season, I felt as if we're not giving all we could give. and that's what upsets me when we lose.
Yeah, we know all we need to know about VDV and Kuti, whether he stays. If he don't sign a contract in the summer, as much as I think he's our best central defender, he'll only have 2 years on his contract. He can go. Charlie's it. All right, Charlie.
Guys.
We're just going through modern performances. We've already picked the team for Thursday, but we've still got plenty to talk about. So, yeah, we know we've got Cody, Venom. We know Vicaro's good on his day. I think he's got a confidence issue like a lot of the players have showed it. Odebert's an interesting one. 3 assists. I'll come to you, Charlie. I mean, he came from the PSG Academy, went to Burnley under Vincent Kompany. Kompany raved about him. At the time, his stats were identical to Nico Williams. I know we'd all take Nico Williams. But what's your take on Odebert, what you've seen?
I think he's a good player, just needs some time. I think he needs more game time, more time in general. And I think he can grow out to be something that can have an impact on the squad. I don't think he's going to be like a really, really good player, like a Sonny type player, or what Mikey Moore's going to be like. But I think he's got some potential. I think he's going to be a squad player in the coming years.
Do you remember Aaron Lennon?
Aaron Lennon. When was this?
Aaron Lennon, a winger for Spurs. Do you remember him?
How many years ago was this?
Oh, even I remember Aaron Lennon. He played on the right when Bale came through for Spurs.
He scored the equaliser in the 4-4.
Was this 2016? Was this 2016?
Oh no! Way before.
Under Redknapp.
Yeah, okay, but listen, I'm born in 2008. I don't really remember anything before 2016, 17.
Such a young person. That's crazy.
That's okay. So he reminds me of like he's got a touch of the Aaron Lennon about him, the way he jinks around and all that goes either side.
The only thing, sorry.
Well,
the only thing with Lennon was obviously such a fast player, very good at dribbling. He got fouled so much when he was younger that as he got older, he lost a little bit of his confidence, I think. And I guess you don't want that to happen.
What he said was, in a recent interview, he said when he was first at Spurs, he says other teams kept doubling up on him. He said, this is the kicker, right? He said, when we got Gareth Bale, they didn't know what to do. So, like, you had him on one wing and Bale on the other. Yeah. So
I mean, every so often I go back and watch the Inter Milan Spurs games where Bale scored that hat trick and the one where we won 3-1 at home, and it's just they kept trying to just kick Bale and Lennon the entire time, and Bale just runs past them, and Lennon runs past them. They've got no, Maicon literally got retired by a skinny Welsh lad.
So we've played 31 games, yeah? I think
32.
Have we played the 32nd one?
Let me check. Yep, we have.
Oh, good, because we're safe there. Because Bentancur didn't want to get we didn't want any of these players to get 10 yellow cards before the 32nd game. Otherwise, you get a 2-match ban. Whereas the first 18 games, if you get 5 yellow cards, you get a 1-match ban. But if you get 10 by the 32nd game, they still add up. That's why I've done these at 8 and 7s and things like that. Bergveld's got 4, but he's got 4 more in other competitions, so he's got 8 really. Yeah. Let's talk about who we might get in or who you guys might like. Let's give you a fact stat here. For those of you that think that we don't spend money, we do, but we spent it crap. Right, a transfer spend from 2019, and the link's below here. If people, I will never bring facts to you if I don't give you a link, right? So you can source it yourselves. A transfer spend from 2019 when the stadium opened has been £1.027 billion, right? That's in player sales, loan fees, all of it. 327.17 mil net spend, which means like that was taken off. So you take the Kane money would be in that for his transfer and every other sale we said. I mean, don't forget we got ridiculous amounts of money for Winks and Skip even, even Ericsson, we got 16 mil for him with 16 on his contract going. All these little sums they aren't up. So, and no, that's their loan fees was that, right? And net spend was 700 mil. So we actually what they've actually cost us in money is 700 mil since the stadium opened, which is about, what's that, 100 or 120 million pound a season, which is about right. Okay, let's look at positions we need to strengthen in this window, right? And I've listed players we've been linked with in all positions. So different banners for each one. Charlie, do you know any of these fullbacks?
I know Kerkers, I know Mitchell, I know at Nuri from Wolves, and I know what Robertson. Are you talking about? Are you talking about Robertson from Fulham, or are you talking about Robertson from Fulham?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because maybe Andrew Robertson. That would be a bit of a weird one.
And Ratu here, he's Romanian, doing well.
Where does he play?
He's a right back.
No, but what team? What club?
I forget which Italian club. If James wants to link him now, but he's being looked at because he's having a good season. But my argument with players like this, when they're 26 or 27, why haven't we heard of them before? You know, so
yeah. 27. No, that's no. Is he 27?
I think he's 26. I have to go on my memory now. Yeah.
Well, there's late bloomers, but if we can pay like a 5 or 10 million for him, it's all right. But if we pay more,
so than that, are we in agreement that really we need a left back, don't we? I mean, I know people have raved about Spence on the left. He's better on the left. When they stuffed Arsenal out the cup, and he played very well on the right. It's just that people haven't seen him play on the right, and he's played on the right for most of his career because he is a right-footed player. And I see Spence on the right, and we need someone to have a first choice over Porro, in my opinion. Right, so we need a right back, but Sirkin was at the academy, is at Sunderland, done well there. 8 Neuro we know is at Wolves. He had a hand in 2 of the goals, I think, the weekend, the other day. Kirk, we know, plays for Bournemouth or Brentford, is it? I forget now. The fullback.
Kirkes is at Bournemouth.
Yeah, Bournemouth, yeah.
Yeah, he's a
Tarek Mitchell's in the last year at Crystal Palace. So he's been linked recently, and we're going to be linked with everyone in the last year, like every other club will be, and everyone on a free. Would you like any of these guys?
I like Kirkes from what I've seen of him.
I like the look of him, but I've only seen him. I only see other teams' players when they play us, unless I happen to be bothered to watch a game on the telly, which I don't that often. I'm too busy hunting for Spurs information most days.
His underlying numbers are quite good, and he's a graduate of AC Milan and also the RZ academies. So, I mean, if Milan want you in their academy and Dutch teams do, typically that's a good indication. And he's done quite well, and he's only 21. So
Aitner has done well for Wolves this season, but I haven't heard of him before then. Kirkes, again, looked good what I've seen this season. How long has he been at his club?
I think this is his first season at Bournemouth, or his second. Yes, his second season. Before that, he played in the Dutch league for a year.
Seen Roberts at Wolves, I've liked the look of him, I've got to be honest, but Reto I haven't seen. And Mitchell, has he been a regular on a Palace side? Has he been out injured or what? I mean, I don't know.
He's been fairly regular, I think. My only issue with us signing Premier League players is they are going to demand a premium on sometimes quite average players. You know, you might have to go spend 40 million to get a backup left back.
Even though Levy's come out with the usual, we have to, be wise in a transfer market. We ain't got hundreds of millions to spend. Well, you don't need hundreds of millions. Even if you only had 60 million, you can put 20 million down on free players. You've still got to pay the wages and all that, but that's all manageable. So I think no excuses for not. I mean, to be honest, there aren't many marquee signings out there that you jump at. You might class Nico Williams as a marquee signing because he won a tournament with Spain. Even Gyökeres and all that in Portugal, it's the Portugal's leagues. He was crap at Coventry when he was at Coventry City. You don't know if he's going to, and no one's really jumped in for him.
I'm gonna fact check it to make sure I'm correct, but I'm pretty sure Gyökeres, I'm pretty sure his girlfriend plays for our women's team. So
I'm right, okay.
Maybe
Let's move on to centre backs. These are just some that have been linked with us. Guehi, at Palace, in Cappy at Leverkusen, Tar at Leverkusen on a free. I would take him. I would take him, Cappy. Tap Sober at Leverkusen. There's 3 of them. De Winter, I forget who he's with. We need a brother of one of the Arsenal players or something. Harwood Bellis is at Southampton. Henko I like what I've seen. Strikes at Leeds. Akasek, not sure. Diomande is a bit of a beast. He's playing in Portugal. Branthwaite, we know. He'd be like, they'd want 60 mil for him or something like that. Houston, he's at Bournemouth or Bournemouth, isn't he? The young 19-year-old centre-back.
Yeah,
everyone's looking at.
Dutch fella.
Camazzo's in Italy, and I've just forgotten everything about him. Right. I would like Nkappi because he's the youngest out of these. He's 24, Ecuadorian, left foot, play left back as well. Tar, so experienced as well. I just think, like, you know, the chance of these players coming to Spurs with no European football is absolutely zilch.
Yeah. I mean, if Romero wants to go, out of these, it would be Tar or Tapsoba for me, but probably Tar. An experienced centre-back who's pretty decent on the ball. I like Nkappi, but
Captain of Germany as well, or was. I don't know if he still is.
Yeah, I don't know what the Germans are doing. But Nkappi, I mean, he's left-sided. I don't think we need a left-sided centre-back necessarily. Because, I mean, realistically, we have, 5 centre-backs? And we're only really discussing a centre-back if Romero goes. So we need a right-footed centre-back, I think.
I think we could get Henko from the Dutch league, though, because, like, he's got to be 27 and captain of Feyenoord, I think. I mean, whether they're in Europe or close to being, I mean, they're usually in or out of Europe, aren't they? Ajax are usually in it every year anyway. But I don't think the question of European football would be too much of a, because it would be a move up for him coming to Spurs anyway,
and pay wise as well.
What do you know of Henko, Charlie?
Well, one of my great mates, he supports Feyenoord, and he always talks about Henko and all the other players carrying the team. Because, of course, Feyenoord won the league a couple of years ago. They won the league I don't know exactly what year anymore. And he was quite a pivotal part in that. And, of course, Detroit, I remember last year we were talking about him. But, yeah, Feyenoord does usually contend in Europe, which is cool. And I think that players like Henko and Jimenez, who now went to AC Milan, of course, do help. And you do help them, of course. And I think you really see that they do have some quality, because a lot of the players that do come via their academies, or especially our Dutch teams' academies, they always seem to bloom out. So I think Hanko's a good player, and I think he can do something for us. Yeah,
I do as well. I watch the videos when stories gain gravitas. At the moment, we're linked with every man and his dog, because the players I've got listed, there's about 60 of them. Right, so let's move on to midfielders. I'll stay with you, Charlie. Angel Gomez is on a free.
I wouldn't mind Angel Gomez.
Okay.
He plays at Los Lille or something, right? I don't know the exact name, but it's like a wolf thing, like a fox. I like him.
Lens, is he with Lens or Lille? Lens with Jonathan David. They're both on free transfer.
Yeah, that's Lille. Yeah, it's Lille. It is Lille. No. Wait,
it's one of them anyway, right? So
yeah,
if you're looking at Wharton, I mean, he's going to be too expensive. Bellingham's at Sunderland.
Anyone that's English and plays in England is going to be a minimum of 40 million. I don't think, I don't think it's worth going for a Bellingham or maybe the only one would be like the only English player I'd really like to have right now is Gibbs White, I think.
Yeah, he's going to have Champions League football next year with Forest.
And then I love Kimmich because he's just bloody experienced and he'll just actually do something for us.
Cardoso, we can get him for 21 mil and probably sell him for 30 the next day. He's been doing well. Fratese's not getting the game time at Milan. When he went from his club to Milan, he plays for Italy. I like him. He's a beast of a midfielder, Fratese. I would like him. But none of you guys have seen him. Larson scored that 20-odd yarder outside the box in the Euros for, is it Denmark?
So who are you talking about now?
Larson.
He must be. You mean like the guy that plays for Sporting?
Yeah, he scored for Denmark in the Euros, about outside the box, a 20-yard or something in a corner.
No idea who that is.
Right.
No clue.
Bellingham's Jude Bellingham's brother, Joe Bellingham, at Sunderland. But we don't really want another kid. Miller's been interested recently. Gutierrez was. Joel Gomez has just signed a new contract at Wolves. So, and you're looking at the way we're going to spend our money. I think we'll go for Andrew Gomez because he's on the free. Kamiński plays in the American League. Zemensky is a ball playing, looks a bit lightweight, Polish player, plays for Fenerbahce, I think. He's in the Turkish league anyway. Kimmich, we know, is good, and Cisa and Richie. They're recent names. I haven't really looked into them. Do you think any of these are likely, apart from Angel Gomez? Really is cheap.
I think
So.
I think it's difficult to say to an extent. Yeah, I mean, if they're within budget and they're young, then I think that's.
Are we planning? Are we planning with Angie in mind? Or are we planning ahead if he's gone? That's the difference. I mean, we should still be looking to get players. I mean, the footballing, the football admin staff at the club should know where we're weak and what we're going for, no matter who manager's coming in.
Yeah, like to some extent, if they're young and we can get them for good value for money, then the club will sign them kind of regardless of manager. We'll always do club signings to an extent.
Well, they're all club signings, in my opinion. They all are all the same.
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky.
Never down to one person.
Yeah, we don't know who's going to be manager next season, so that makes it a tad tricky. I mean, I like João Gomez. I like Angel Gomez. I'd love Kimmich. I think Kimmich would be exceptional because I do think we lack a little bit of leadership and just experience in the team with so many young players. And the more experienced players we do have, like Sonny isn't a shout at people to motivate them kind of person. He's a hug you, very nice person, which is great. You need that dynamic, but you also need someone who is a little bit of a caring dickhead, right? Someone who's experienced and will shout at you if you're not taking it seriously or if you're messing up a little bit. Sometimes you need one of those personalities, to balance out, all the voices. And I feel like maybe we don't have certain kinds of personalities at the club.
Dr. Jumbotron, I'm not sure about Bellingham, the Jude's brother, but Kimmich, everyone seems to mind Kimmich, of course, for his experience. Yeah, right. So, and you're going to Frankfurt, Charlie, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow at 2:00, I think, and then arriving there at 9 and staying in Frankfurt for 2 days. Looking forward to that.
All right, that'd be a good experience for you.
It's going to be good. I have to say, AZ away was pretty disappointing because everyone was just in Amsterdam until 2 hours before the game. It just didn't really feel like an away day. So I hope this is better.
Well, we will go through the wingers and the attackers, and we're virtually done then anyway. So we've been linked with Eze, Rooney Bargy from last season. I think he plays in Denmark for Copenhagen or something. Skov Olsen, he's back in Belgium now after I'm going out of France. Didn't work out too well, but when it doesn't work out for players, I don't sort of get negative about it. I just think, well, was the player used to his strengths when they're with us? Chris Riggs at Sunderland. The under-21s played Sunderland last year. We beat them, but Chris Riggs was a standout player on the pitch for Sunderland. Playmaker and winger. He looks an outstanding talent for England in the future. Tyler Diblin, we've been linked with Diblin at Southampton, but again, the money they're talking for, well, we need a number 3 of a defensive midfield player and a striker. We're not paying all the. I mean, who makes these prices up 100 million and shit for these players? I mean, Gittins would probably cost you 60 mil, but we ain't paying it. Semenyo the same. We ain't paying it. Coman, well, I don't know what he's like now. He was fantastic, but he's not a spring chicken no more. Grealish again. Grealish is 30, 31. Who's going to pay what for him? I'd be lucky to get 30 mil for him. Isaacsen's a new winger at Lazio's done well this season, so his name's in the frame. And Madueke's at Chelsea because he came out of Spurs Academy, homegrown, went to Holland to play there, and Chelsea bought him for about 30 million or something. Any of these a possibility, guys, do you think?
I was muted. I like Eze. I mean, how likely that is kind of debatable. I think a large part of it depends on. I mean, if we win the Europa League, we'll have Champions League football. So we'll have that attraction of Champions League football, and we'll have a big revenue increase. So we'll be more willing to spend. In that case, it's possible. Semiono, Coman. Don't think Coman's reasonable. Grealish. City would want like 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 million. Large amount of money for a guy who's turning 30 soon. I don't think Levy would spend that. Madueke, you can't see that happening. So, I mean, of these, the most likely to me that I really like is probably Eze. But again, I think that depends on maybe not on us having.
I wanted him in the summer with Dorgu, the left back that Man United took. So I don't see it happening for that amount of money. I just don't see. And you hear about Eze when he scores a goal and all that, and you don't seem to. It reminds me a bit of the central midfielder that was at Southampton and left. Every time he scored a free kick, you heard about him, but apart from that, you never did. He's at West Ham. Yeah. Then you didn't hear about him. So, yeah, I don't see us.
I mean, also, like, Eze has scored 7 goals this season. He scored like 10 fewer goals than Brennan Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, I get there's a lot more to his game than just pure goals. And last season he had how many goals? 11 goal contributions solely in the league, which is quite impressive.
And we've got Son on the left, Moore on the left, Tell on the left if he proves he's worth being bought. Although he does play better on the left than the videos I've watched him Tell. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see us going for any of these unless they were virtual giveaways. I really don't. Let's move on to the attackers. And we all know we need a number 9, right? Because Richarlison's going, isn't he, right?
Yeah.
And they'll get money for him because there's a shortage of number 9s. I know Spurs fans don't value Richarlison, but when you consider that Arsenal and Chelsea need a number 9, they are not kind of coming for Richarlison, obviously. But when you consider that Calvert-Lewin's not signing a new contract at Everton, that looks like a favourite place for him to go if he stays in the Premier League. And we know there's 2 clubs in the Saudi that want him and they're willing to pay him and probably pay him 3 times the amount of wages he's on as well. So that's Richarlison. But Kuna, 60-odd million, don't see it happening. Buemo, Vissa. Delap's a possibility. He would be a bit cheaper. Sesko. Vlahovic, we would get. He's not getting game time at Juve now that they got Moani. He's fallen down a pecking order. Everyone knows I like Vlahovic, so I won't go on about him.
I like him as well. I think the lap's feasible.
I will say, I think this is going into this transfer window. I feel the most unsure ever. Like I've got no.
I'm the same. We're all the same.
Like, if I reckon Andy's going to go after this season, I'm nearly 100% sure of it.
He might go Friday if we don't win Thursday.
Yeah, if we don't win Thursday, he's gone now. And then, where are we at? Then we'll need a new manager, a whole new team, a whole new identity. It's just going to be complete shit.
Another reset, yeah. That's why I'm not renewing my season ticket. This is why I've got the money. I'm not doing it. I know I can always get another season ticket or go on Spurs, get Spurs 1+, and then I can just pick the games I want to go to because the average gate's 61,300. So, all right, there'd be sellouts against Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, the usual top teams, but all the other games, you're 1,500 below match capacity. You can get tickets for them games.
I mean, the Frankfurt game wasn't sold out.
No, it wasn't.
No, Roma wasn't as well when I was there. And same with Newcastle, Brentford.
Yeah.
And nearly every game I've been this season wasn't sold out, except for Arsenal.
Delap's an interesting one because Man City have a buyback clause on him. And because his value has increased, they could probably buy him back and sell him on and make a profit.
I'm not sure he's a Pep player. Is the only
no, but they could buy him back and sell him.
Just going to grab some eat.
This is a different.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, is with buyback clauses? If City make the offer for the amount, however much it is, to Ipswich, does Delap have to go to City? Or could he say, no, I don't want to go back to Man City?
He can say no, but that might have been part of the deal that he went to Ipswich anyway, and he might have to honour that contract. Because if you've got a buyback clause, no point having it if you can't get the player back. But I get your point because I might be wrong, James. You know what I mean? I get your point.
I don't know how it's worded because let's say we came in for it, right? And he's really keen to come to Spurs because I don't know, Xavi's the manager and he really wants to play under Xavi. But City go, no, we're going to use our buyback clause. So you come to us, then we'll sell you to Spurs. He might go, well, I don't want to go to you. No, I want to go to Spurs. And then I imagine as long as Tottenham offer the same or more, maybe by like...
Well, they'll probably be on that buyback clause. There's probably a sell-on clause with it as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a complicated law thingy-majig. But I like Delap. We might have to pay over a little bit for him, but if City bought him back to sell to us, I'm sure they'd still sell him to us. Vlahovic, I really like. Signing Evan Ferguson. No clue. Sesko, I mean, he's a wonder kid on Football Manager, so that'd be great. Groykeres, I did look it up. His girlfriend does play for our women's team, so maybe she can have a word with him and get him to come to Spurs. Moise Keane, not massively keen on him. Get it? And Calvert-Lewin.
Like Evan, did he? Calvert-Lewin's at the end of his contract, so we'd probably be interested in him because he's cheap.
I think he's just an inferior version of Solanke in a lot of ways.
He's injury prone as well.
Yeah, we don't want another glass house, do we?
No.
So
right. Yeah, that's the strikers. These are. I don't know if you've got any transfer rumours. We'll talk about this. These are our remaining fixtures. And unless we get another 3 games after Frankfurt. You only got to win 3 games to win the trophy. You only got to win both the games by a big enough score, and then you're in the final. But there's 5 games possible. I've had bets on us. I've had to win Thursday. I remember we went to City in poor form, expecting to get spanked, and we won 4-0, and we were playing crap. So these are our remaining fixtures, Charlie. Points aren't a worry, mind you. If they were, we might have problems because Liverpool might need to beat us to clinch the title because it's 2 games. Forest at home, they're in form. They won't be easy. Then we got West Ham away. We spanked them at home, and it's their cup final. They always want to beat us. Palace are doing well under Glasner now. They're in the semi-final of the cup. Then Villa away. They're challenging for Europe. Then we got Brighton at home. So some fans might think we'll lose them all.
Sorry, there's 2 games we want to win this. The rest of the season, there's 2 games. And that's going to be Frankfurt and West Ham. The rest I don't care about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, time you get to Brighton, they may or may not be in Europe. They might be have the deck chairs out for that one.
The atmosphere is going to be horrid at that game.
West Ham are not going to qualify for Europe. They're not going to get relegated either, which means they might be relaxed when they play us. The pressure's off at the end of the season when you're not in for nothing no more.
I think the Liverpool game will be a decent match because they will go for it and we will go for it. So it might be one of those games that's like a 5-3 or something.
Yeah, they'll probably get a penalty and do us because that's what normally happens in games like that.
Yeah.
Are we saying, guys, before we close, right? Are we saying that? We know that Thursdays. It's our season depends on Thursday away.
Yeah.
So earlier on, Charlie, we went for Vicario in goal. We actually chose Spence at left back, VDV, Romero, Porro. We went Bentancur, Maddison, Bergvall in midfield. And up front, we went Son, Solanke and Kulusevski because I think he starts this game.
I'd only switch Sean out, I think. I'd switch Sean out for Odebert. I'd like to see someone that's very creative.
I understand that, but if you need to consider the fact he is the captain, he's an experienced player, and there's no way Angie's leaving him out of that team. Not on Thursday, because you need your experienced players out there. I just don't see him leaving him out. Your expressed wish, I get that. You'd like to see it happen, but and he might only play for an hour. And then you've got a choice of bringing Tell on, who looked he did look a bit. He's looked better on the left. He's looked good on the left in his videos. So that's it. Right. Unless there's any question, let's go to the comments. I think it's one we should get our eyes towards. Yeah, Mapping. The problem is like when a player plays well against us, all of a sudden we're interested in him, you know, instead of like, what has he done over the last 2 seasons? Back in the day, you always judged a player after his second season. Now fans judge him after 1 game, you know. And then he's either a hero or hung, drawn and quartered.
People are very reactionary.
Oh,
and I think a large part of that is, you know, you're having a conversation down the pub about football. 1 week, you might form an opinion on a player, and then a month later, that player's turned their form around a little bit. You can turn around and go, do you know what? Fair enough. I was wrong about that player. They're playing really well now. The issue with social media is you say, I think he's a bit crap. Then you say a month later, actually, he's doing a lot better. People will go, hypocrite. You said this, this, and this. And you're not allowed to change your mind. Otherwise, people come out.
I mean, so prime example was Kulusevski. When he first came in, he had 2 15-minute cameos. Fans were saying he's slow as crap, get rid of him. He makes his debut away at Man City. Son squares the ball for him. He smashes it in the net. And then we see Kulu towards the end of the season. But last season, he fell off. He fell off. And like this season, he's come back again. And everybody's saying he's our best player. We definitely need another number 9. Who, I don't know. We definitely need a left back. We've got to have cover in that full-back position. We know Spence can play both. You've got Gray can do it in emergency as well, but get that left-back issue should have been addressed in the summer. And like we only brought in 1 oven-ready player, and that was Solanke. And he's done all right, but he's a squad player.
Yeah.
When I look at all the strikers we've had in the past, I could list loads of them. And that's excluding Kane and Son. But, yeah. No, you're right, Mapping. He's done all right, but that's about it. Well, unless you've got any questions in the chat, we're as good as done here. Whoops, what happened there? What happened there? Sorry.
Nope.
Oh, here I am. Right, okay. All right. No, I pressed the wrong thing, obviously. Right. So, that being that, I'll just give me a chance to plug the show. For those of you that are listening for the first time and don't know anything about us, Spurs Diehards TTID, we go every Tuesday at 9 o'clock, every Sunday at 9 o'clock. This is UK GMT time, and every Friday at 10 o'clock UK GMT. That's to cater for American and Canadian audiences and people south of the equator. If you like our content, please give the videos a thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. You can find us on XCOM. A lot of you are watching on XCOM at the moment, which is X-Twitter. We do have a Facebook group with about 14,500 members, but most of them don't get involved in this form of social media. And lots of this form of social media don't get involved in Facebook. We do have a page as well, which we've just started because the videos go out live there. So that's only got under 300 members, about 288. It hasn't been going that long. So that's us, really. We pride ourselves on being a mature and sensible group. We discuss things. Things can get spicy when they need to get spicy. You know, the next PR blunder, I've no doubt they'll get spicy after the transfer window because, look, we all know it's going to be an underwhelming transfer window anyway, even before it started. We just can hope that the players we bring in turn out to be good buyers. You know, I mean, and whoever is manager then, they can't have a worse league season that we've had this season. It's not possible. So whoever comes in, the manager is really onto a winner. So, yeah, let's see this last comments. Kulu will be a hit, man. Big up, it's a great game of football today as well. I don't know what the results are. Did Villa get knocked out? Anyone know? Or
Yeah, as did Borussia Dortmund, although Borussia Dortmund beat Barcelona 3-1, I think.
Yeah.
But Barcelona had a huge lead in the first leg.
All we know that for the amount of points due to the coefficient, the Premier League have got the 5th position next year. Not that it's going to affect us, but they've got 5 places in the Premier League next year guaranteed because of the English clubs have done so well in the league. So I'm on a different setup here. So when we go live, we should just disappear because I had to take down a couple of music videos for copyright issues, which is fair enough. So I can't play you out. So last words from my guest. Where can we find you? I don't think you're on any particular channel. James, you're just a regular Tuesday host.
Yep.
You know?
I am on Twitter if you want to see my deranged tweets, which is just at James Williams with a V afterwards. That's where you can find my Twitter. That's my plug. Thanks for having me on. Been a wonderful conversation as ever.
And Charlie will be a regular Tuesday guest in between his exams, that is, of course, because he's taking his exams out there. So expect to see these two regular on Tuesday with 1 or 2 more guests, obviously, but it's midweek and like people are doing stuff and some people are still flued up with the wintry weather, you know, although it's changing for the better. So with that, I want to thank you all. I especially want to thank those in the chat for your questions, those of you watching on XCOM, and a real big up for those of you that bother to watch us on playback. So once again, thanks to you all. I'll end the stream and I'll see you guys in the chat in the back room.